Liverpool transfer news, £300 million deal, Salah replacement and key changes. Welcome to l.f.c Transfer Daily News. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Liverpool transfer news today, £300 million agreement, huge Saudi deal, Salah replacement. Arsenal rivals Liverpool for perfect Salah replacement. They sit on top of the Premier League, a point ahead of Manchester City and already 4 points clear of Arsenal, whose erratic start to the season continued with a 2-0 loss to Bournemouth at the weekend, and that gap could be 7 points by Sunday evening as Liverpool travel to the Emirates in what is already looking like a pivotal title clash. The availability of star right winger Bukayo Saka is also up in the air, with the English international missing the Bournemouth game due to a knock he picked up on international duty. Arsenal were forced to start former Reds forward Raheem Sterling there instead to little avail. As a result, Football Insider are claiming that Arsenal are now looking to strengthen the depth in the position. Saudi Arabia determined to strike huge FSG deal. Saudi Arabia have set out ambitious plans in the next decade as the country looks to continue its investment in football. With the World Cup being hosted in Saudi Arabia in 2034, the country has set ambitious plans to make the tournament a huge success. Meanwhile, the Saudi Pro League continues to grow year after year as it attracts stars like Neymar and Cristiano Ronaldo as well as Liverpool heroes like Roberto Firmino, Fabinho and Sadio Mane. But it's not just on the domestic front where Saudi Arabia wants to expand. Richard Hughes' scouting mission. Clark's appointment as Red Bull's global head of soccer from January was seen by some fans as damaging to his Anfield legacy, but the positive spin is that Liverpool would now be in a favourable position in any negotiations with players on Red Bull's books. With that in mind, we have identified 4 players that sporting director Richard Hughes should be looking out for on his scouting trip in eastern Germany. How momentous deal can help Liverpool's transfer market? Reds CEO Billy Hogan was the subject of a 4-page feature in Football Business magazine, in which he discussed the expansion of the Anfield Road end stand, which was finally completed this summer, a year later than initially expected. According to the report, Liverpool are on the verge of receiving another colossal boost to the club's commercial coffers from a new shirt sponsorship deal. German sportswear giants Adidas, whose previous kits for the club include the one worn by Kenny Dalglish's double-winning side of 1985-86, are being tipped to return to the tune of £90 million per season over 5 campaigns from 2025-26. Meanwhile, The Times has reported the deal is worth in excess of £60 million per season, which would add up to £300 million in 5 years. Liverpool really keen to complete transfer for great Italian midfielder. A new head coach means a new approach towards players, and Arne Slot clearly places impetus on bringing youth players into the first team setup slowly. We have seen Trey Nyoni and Tyler Morton both make Champions League matchday squads, as well as select youngsters like Rio Ngumoha and Oakley Cannonier training with the first team as they look to make a step up in their age groups. Now TBR Football are reporting that Liverpool are keen on young Italian star Nicolo Pizzilli. The report claims the Reds are exploring a move for the midfielder and are going to be stepping up their efforts in the transfer market ahead of the January window, with Pizzilli time is of the essence as he has less than 2 years left on his current deal at the club, which is why his potential suitors will be looking to wrap up a deal quickly for the exciting young midfielder before he extends his contract with Roma. Despite only having broken into the first team this season, playing 7 games for Roma in all competitions this season so far, Pizzilli has been brought into the international fold too. Italy manager Luciano Spalletti gave him his debut, playing out the last 10 minutes of Italy's 2-2 draw with Belgium earlier this month. The same report alleges that can confirm that Chelsea and Tottenham are also tracking the starlet, as well as Bournemouth, whose current president of football operations is former Roma man Tiago Pinto following Richard Hughes' move to Anfield. Who is Nicolo Pizzilli? Pizzilli profiles as a dominant midfielder, with Roma fan site Chiesa dei Totti writing, Pizzilli is described as your classic number 8 midfielder a mezzala who excels on both ends of the pitch. Pizzilli reads the game well in both the offensive and defensive phases of the game. And he's often the player who transitions his side from the defensive phase to the attack, and Roma's current manager Ivan Juric couldn't speak higher of the youngster. You fall in love easily. He's young, he must grow, and he comes from an intellectual family. He's also a little intellectual, Juric said. He is calm and serene. He thinks and has a talent that I had never seen in young players like him. He has a clear perception of things from the first touch. If he continues like this, working hard without being overconfident, he'll have a great career. If he continues on this path, then the sky truly is the limit. Arne Slot set to make 4 Liverpool changes versus RB Leipzig. The head coach led his squad through their final pre-match training session today, when there were some notable absentees. Diogo Jota was not among the players seen on the club's live stream, 2 days after he was substituted just 30 minutes into Sunday's 2-1 win over Chelsea. Slot said after that game he'd be surprised if he is there on Wednesday. Slot is therefore likely to have one enforced change in his lineup, with Darwin Núñez, who acquitted himself well as Jota's replacement on Sunday, albeit without scoring, being the obvious candidate to come into the side. Luis Diaz and Alexis Mac Allister also played as subs against Chelsea, as Slot eased them back into domestic duty after their long-haul exploits with Colombia and Argentina during the international break. Both South Americans have been regular starters for Slot, of course, so the man in charge must decide whether to recall them in his strongest available 11 or persevere with Cody Gakpo, the creator of Jota's pre-break winner at Crystal Palace, on the left and Curtis Jones in midfield alongside the currently undroppable Ryan Gravenberch. 2 huge tests in 5 days. While maintaining a 100% start to the Champions League campaign is a key objective when Liverpool travel to Germany, the subsequent trip to North London at the weekend is surely a much bigger priority. The chance to beat Arsenal in their own backyard on Sunday afternoon, and go 7 points clear of them in the Premier League title race, could well influence Slot's selection against RB Leipzig. The expanded format of the Champions League means Liverpool would have plenty of opportunities to make up for any points lost in Leipzig, but there remains little margin for error in England's top flight. Manchester City are very likely to be back on top of the table again by Saturday night, given they host winless Southampton in the afternoon. To reclaim pole position against an Arsenal side driven to right the wrongs of their shock 2-0 defeat to Bournemouth, Slot will want to field his very best 11 at Emirates Stadium. Thanks for watching. Like and comment. Subscribe.